We go out to the Big Ten for a big affair between a couple teams that lost early, were taken off the national radar in regards to a college football playoff berth. They've creeped back into play based on beating lesser teams now that they have to face each other. Wisconsin, of course, the major player in the Big Ten Western Division, going to play Michigan, both teams with one loss, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, the only way Wisconsin is still alive is if they win this game at Michigan and they win the game at Penn State on November 10th, and then they win the conference title game in December. Then they probably get in as a one-loss team. But that loss is a 23-point favorite to BYU a few weeks ago is obviously going to really hurt this squad going forward. They have to win out. Michigan, meanwhile, their loss against Notre Dame in week 1 is not going to hurt them. Notre Dame probably runs the table now and is in the Final Four. So Michigan can win out here. I think they control their own destiny. You can really make a case both these teams control their own destiny still with one loss, as I mentioned with LSU earlier, even though they'll probably pick up another loss at some point. My power ratings only favor Michigan by 7.5 this game. It opened 6.5. It's now up to 10 in a lot of locations. So we have lost line value. I do think Michigan probably wins this game, but it's really tough to lay 10 points against a good defensive underdog like Wisconsin. They're giving up just 16 points a game. They're rushing for almost 300 yards a game. That's the makings of a good 10-point underdog. So I do think this line's a bit inflated.
All right, so those are the big games. So those are the games that the masses of college football nation are going to be watching. Now we dive deep into, and I got to check out my paper to even get this straight. New Mexico State's on the road at Louisiana Lafayette, and New Mexico State's a 7.5-point underdog in this one. It's a game played a Saturday at 5 o'clock kickoff Eastern time.
Right, and surprisingly, it is not on national TV anywhere, so you'll have to find this one online for those degenerates that are betting on it and want to watch it. But, yeah, the reason I wanted to mention this game is there's a couple good handicapping angles I want to point out. This one obviously flying under the radar, two ugly teams in New Mexico State and Louisiana Lafayette. Louisiana Lafayette did cover against Alabama a couple weeks ago. They lost by 42 as a 48-point dog. And then last week they beat Texas State on the road as a 3-point favorite. So they now return home off back-to-back road covers. Because of that, this line's a little inflated. And the other reason it's inflated is because New Mexico State started the season 0-4 straight up and against the spread, but they're now flying under the radar, back-to-back wins and covers the last 2 weeks, in which they've put up 76 points combined. And the reason I bring that up is their offense scored 13 or less in 3 of their first 4 games this season, but they've now scored 76 points the last 2 games, and they're taking on the Louisiana Lafayette defense that's given up almost 500 yards per game this season. My power ratings only make Louisiana Lafayette a 4.5-point favorite in this one. 7.5, a very key number. You get that extra half point over the key number of 7. And the line is inflated because of the reasons I just mentioned, because they got off to a slow start. New Mexico State is now a better football team, and I think we're going to catch some value with them here the next few weeks, and they're flying under the radar this week with value against Louisiana Lafayette.
And according to the ESPN predictor, New Mexico State has a 26% chance of winning the game outright at Louisiana to take on the Ragin' Cajuns. Join me at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I'll have my predictions out later today. I'm hitting about 58% against the spread. I pick all the top 25 games plus a few other relevant games throughout the week. But if you want to hear from the expert, you go to prosportsinfo.com, and Steve has all his selections right there. Football, baseball, and basketball, with the NBA starting up this week, and of course Major League Baseball playoffs this weekend, and another huge week in the NFL. Steve, we appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks, Mark.